this class, we're going to talk about how to build your plan for managing your career shift. You can use it for other parts of your career, but really it's focused on putting some structure and rigor around planning a career pivot or a career shift. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in. This class is going to cover, as usual, our approach, some of the key terms and some of the things we think about, defining your shift, thinking about what kind of career pivot are you doing and what's the magnitude of it, determining your goals, when are you looking to do this by, creating your plan, and then we'll do a little bit of a wrap up like we always do. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and jump into the first section. In this section, we're going to talk about Thiel's approach to making a career shift and how you think about doing it. We're going to go back to our framework for fulfilling work. Without having clarity on all four dimensions of what fulfilling work is for you, the shift is going to be tricky and it's not going to be as fruitful as you'd hope. So if you're in this class and you haven't done the styles, values, interests, and skills classes yet, highly recommend that you go do those, have that documented, have some clarity on that, and then come back and watch this class. But you can do them in whatever sequence you'd like. Maybe this is helpful to help you think about your plan, and then you go back and watch those. But definitely recommend that you go and watch those, because that's going to be where you want to go and sitting at the intersection of these to really get to that place of having fulfilling, meaningful work that you're excited to go to every day. Want to stress that careers are nonlinear, and neither is the process. You can jump around, you can go try things, you can come back, think about your values, go apply for some jobs, do some informational interviews. And so the decision-making process is not linear as much as we'd love for it to be and just say, hey, here's the playbook. We want you to know that we've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times. And if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by the process, that's absolutely okay. We see it every day. And what we want to try to do is help you have some structure and a framework, not necessarily a step-by-step playbook. If you follow the process and thinking about this iteratively, then these non-linear movements will feel a little more structured and will put you in control. We want you in the driver's seat of this process. And if you approach it with a growth mindset, it's going to be that much more exciting. And what we mean by a growth mindset is seeing the challenges as opportunities to learn. A fixed mindset thinks of intelligence as static, that you avoid challenges, you give up easy, fear of failure, I can't do it, I'm not meant to do that. Where a growth mindset is going to embrace the challenges, it's going to persist in the face of setbacks, learn from failure, and reach higher levels of achievement. Lots of research from Carol Dweck, who's a child psychologist who's expanded this into the workplace to show that when you bring a growth mindset to work, your fulfillment goes way up, because all these things that are challenges and that pressure that you put on yourself to succeed actually become opportunities to learn. And then that becomes exciting because we all want to learn and we all want to grow. So if we approach things with that way and don't think about them as situations in which we might fail, but actually embrace that failure, and these are situations to learn and grow, then the process becomes exciting. And a career transition is that. There's going to be lots of bumps in the road, lots of times where you're going to hit a wall. Think about that as a situation in which you got to learn. You got to learn about yourself. You got to learn about this career that you're thinking about pursuing. So growth mindset is really key. And remember that passion is developed, not found. You will get out what you put in. That is to say that the deeper you go into this process and the more that you explore occupations and the more that you test it and that you try it and you self-initiate, the more you will learn if it's something that you're truly passionate about. Is it a genuine interest or is it more of a superficial interest? I give an example all the time. I've said for literally 20 years that I want to learn how to code, and I still don't know how to code. I've probably done hundreds of hours of coding classes, but I've not taken on that project that I try to code from end to end. And so it's not like I'm watching my actions and the things that I do. I haven't developed that mastery. And so it's not a passion. It's a topic that I'm fascinated by, but it's not a passion. My passion is this. This is actually, when I think about my time and my energy and the things that I do, it's helping people grow their careers and showing them how to unlock potential with technology. That's a passion. And so think about the things that you do, monitor your actions, your behavior, where you're spending your time, hone in on that, and then those are going to be the things that if you can do those on a day in and day out basis, they're going to really charge you up and get you excited, and fulfill you the kind of work that you're looking for. Let's define what kind of career shift you're looking to do. Some are pretty straightforward and not that heavy of a lift, and others can be quite daunting. So let's go ahead and codify this to help you think about what you're doing. There's really three main kinds of shifts. You can be doing an industry shift, a function shift, or both. Let me explain what that means. If you're doing an industry shift, that means you're keeping to the same occupation. You are in sales in, let's call it retail, and you're going to go do sales in medical. You're sales in B2B SaaS software, enterprise software, and you're going to go do it in B2C consumer media, right? That is a different industry, but the function and the occupation and the craft remains the same. That's probably the easiest career shift. You're still going to have to make a case that you can pick up that industry, but the fact that you know the craft, that's usually one of the easier shifts to make. Function becomes a little bit tricky. Let's call that one moderate difficulty, because you've got an industry domain. Maybe you were in retail and you were in supply chain, and now you want to go in retail over to merchandising. That's going to be a little bit harder, but some companies really value that you've got the domain knowledge because they think that's very hard to pick up, and that the functional abilities they can teach you or that you can learn on the job. And sometimes you might be able to do this within the same company. So that's something to make sure you think about, because that might make it a little bit easier if you can leverage your network. The good thing about functional is oftentimes you can use your network, where an industry shift, that might be a little trickier. And then the hardest is to do both, to switch industry and to switch function. And when I say the hardest, that's not in any way to scare you from doing it. We just want you to prepare. We want you to know that you're going to have to put in a little bit of extra work to make that case. But these happen every day. People make full-on switches from industry and function, pick a whole new career that's much more exciting for them, and they don't regret it for a second. So know that you can do all three, but it is important for you to know which one you're picking so you can prepare yourself for the amount of effort and energy that's going to come along, because we don't want you to get discouraged in the process. So just know that some of these may be a little bit of a heavier lift than the others. Looking at the career exploration process, now this class really covers the end of that process. You're going to start with your values and skills. You're going to understand what's important to you, what you want to be doing. Then you're going to cycle through those options. Then you're going to analyze those options. And now you're going to make your plan, which is really what we're going to cover in this class. In this section, we want to talk about determining your goals. It's important that you state when, how, and what you want to do. Goals will help you focus your effort. They'll keep you energized, and they'll give you purpose. Too many times, people embark on this journey without a destination. They just say, I want to go somewhere, but they don't know by when, with who, what they want to do, and then it can feel like it can go on forever, and that can really start to wear you down. Setting the goal can become overwhelming and scary because there's a chance you don't hit it, but that's absolutely okay, right? That's not failure. And what can lead to failure and perpetual discomfort is to not state these. You can always change them, but we highly recommend that you set goals. And there's a very simple framework for goals called SMART. There's also lots of other goal setting frameworks, but we like this for a career shift. It's specific, so it can't be too broad. It's measurable. It's attainable. Don't psych yourself out by doing something that you can't actually achieve, because then you'll probably drop it. It's relevant. It ties to your intentionality and what you want to do right now. And most important of all, it's timed. If it's open-ended, then there's no reason to ever get it done, right? So this is how you set a SMART goal. And you want to think about the range in which you want to do them, long-term and short-term. And you really want both, because the long-term will give you a little bit more of that North Star, and the short-term will give you these daily tactics and daily things that you want to be doing. Right, so long-term goal, work in marketing for a food-related startup company that is mission-driven and provides flexible work-from-home schedule. You want to get there in a year. What are you going to be doing day in and day out to get there? You're going to connect and build relationships with 10 marketing professionals from food-related startups of various stages in the next 3 months, right? Even better is that you set a date that you're going to do this by. Now you can start to give yourself daily goals. Reach out to 5 people a week. That might lead to 1 meeting a week. Over the course of 3 months, there you go. You'll have hit 10 professionals that you'll have networked with. It's really important that you continue to go back to your why. Why are you doing this? Because that's that intrinsic motivation on why this matters to you. So don't just set these goals for the sake of it. Dig deep. Are there aspects about what you're doing right now that are not exciting you? Are there things that you want to be doing and that you want to get there sooner so that you can be fulfilled by your work faster? So always do that. Go back to your why and be clear on why you do it, because it's going to help you. There's going to be days you're going to be exhausted and you're like, why am I doing this? Because there's going to be rejection. There's going to be challenges along the way. But if you've got that why and you're clear on that end goal you want, it's going to be easier to get back up and keep making progress. In this section, we're going to talk about how to make your plan for managing your career shift. First, we want to make sure that there isn't anything holding you back. When you embark on something large like this, there may be reasons for you not to do it. Oh, I'm missing that, or I don't have that. So you want to address these gaps from where you are and where you want to go. You want to make sure that those gaps are well understood and documented. Are they knowledge gaps? Are they skills gaps? Or are they experience gaps? Because they're going to prevent you from potentially reaching your goals. So the more you can document them, the more you can start to incorporate them into your plan. If it's knowledge, you can pick that up. You can read, you can start to volunteer. If it's skills, you can start to take classes, do your own projects. And if it's experience, you can start to build up that portfolio, also through volunteering and different ways of attaining that experience. To make progress, you want to keep yourself accountable by taking action, right? You want to be doing things. You want to make progress, and little progress is fine. Every day, every week, one little bit, right? Because if you're in the midst of a career shift and you're already busy, you're already doing a lot, it's tricky to find the time to do these. So you want to keep yourself accountable by creating action steps and a timeline. That T in the SMART goals is the most important. Set that time by which you want to achieve this and put yourself on a regular schedule. The action steps are going to tie to your long and short-term goals. So here's that example of set up an informational interview with 3 of these connections to learn about their career journey, their day-to-day work, and how they landed their jobs by the end of next week. And if you said, I'm going to do this every week, again, in that 3-month cycle, you'll have reached that goal of 10. So think about these inputs that you would do, these action steps to help you achieve your goal. With that, you can then start to form habits, right? Schedule 1 lunch club meeting every Monday. If you aren't familiar with Lunch Club, we talk about it in other classes. It's this great networking tool where you can meet people with similar objectives and they pair you and they handle everything. You could also reach out to your network. You can post them on LinkedIn, but you create that habit, that cycle of that repetitive behavior, and it's going to help you achieve these goals. So here's a simple framework for how to create accountability. Implement a process. That way you don't have to think about it every time. Create a schedule. Block out the time. Identify obstacles. What are those blockers going to be? Preempt them. Don't let them get in the way. Ask for help. Too many times we see people say, I'm going to do this on my own. There's no prizes for that. There's no extra fulfillment for having done it on your own. We want to get to the destination. So reach out to your network and get the help. Track your progress. What gets measured gets managed, and then revisit your goals on a regular basis. If it's monthly, quarterly, every 6 months, whatever works for you, but we think quarterly at a minimum will really help you get to that goal of making that career shift. And we can't recommend enough that you get in a routine and you set these measurable objectives. Apply for 5 jobs every day, versus get an interview with my dream company. Who knows when that's going to happen? And that's not going to give you that incremental progress. It's just too big and too far out and too vague. Schedule 1 lunch club meeting per week. Post or comment on LinkedIn daily for 12 weeks. These are things that you can every day, you can check off that you've done, and you will see they're going to be compounding also because they're going to start to trickle in over time. And before you know it, it's going to feel like it's hitting on all cylinders. Create that schedule and block out the time, right? Otherwise, life just takes your time. If the time is there, it will get taken. It'll get taken by activities with your family. It'll get taken by activities with work. It'll get taken by recreation. So block out the time. Time is our most limited resource, and if we don't manage it, we lose it. So go ahead and block out that time to do this. Give yourself 10, 15 minutes a day, half an hour a day. Get in that routine because these things are all about you being proactive and you taking action. Too many times, our career is just kind of like taken with the wind. But if you can get proactive, get in the driver's seat here, take control, you can start to see the outcomes that you're looking for. You're going to want to take a pause and see if there's anything that might get in the way. There's this great concept called a pre-mortem where you can try to predict what are the things that could go wrong so that you can then plan for the things that you could do. So think about the things that might get in the way. Work might get too busy. Life might get the best of me. So give yourself these preemptive plans for how to manage for those so you're not caught on your heels and you can be on your toes, ready to charge at them and address them if they come up. And remember, what gets measured gets managed. So track your progress. If you say reach out to 5 people a week, jot it down. Make yourself a spreadsheet, put it in a notebook, a bullet journal, whatever it is that works for you. Keep track. Keep it real simple. Put it on your phone. Audio message it to yourself. Text it to yourself. Find an accountability buddy. What gets measured gets managed. So track these on a regular basis and you will see you'll start to make progress and you will start to get the outcomes you're looking for. We've built a little tool here for you to plan it because making a transition like this, there's really no playbook for it, but we've got some general timelines that we've seen generally work for people. So let's go ahead and open this up so you can see how you can use it. All right, so when you go over to the tools section of the platform, you're going to search for the Career Shift Planner, and it's going to give you this little Google Sheets-based template. And you've got 2 different ways that you can focus on it. You can focus on it by saying, when do you want to accomplish your career shift by? Or when do you want to start and how long do you think it should take? And with those 2 dates and some assumptions on time per phase, then you build out this little plan. So we've got the phases, reflect, ideate, research, decide, prepare, search, apply, interview, negotiate, and start that job. So the idea here is, by when do I want to be in this new position? It can be for a new job you already know how to do, and it's a sort of linear growth on your path, or it can be for a whole new transition. And what we've done is we've put in generally understood times in weeks, but 11 weeks may be a little bit aggressive. Maybe you want it to take a little bit longer. And what you do is then you put in the date. Either you put it when you want to start that new position. So this would be starting by May 1st, 2021, or I'm starting on February 1st, 2021. And that would mean I end by 4/19. You can choose either and you can change these durations. It's entirely up to you. And then you're going to want to pick which one you want to do. You just sort of pick which one. So if you pick with the start date, so I'm going to kick off my search on February 1st. That happens to be a Monday. All right, so I've got time to get that going, and it builds out a little Gantt chart for me. And I would be in that position by 4/19. And then if I go over to my planner, it's going to build out those dates for me, and it's going to show me if I'm on track. And what I'll do is I'll just fill out the days that I actually achieve it. Then I can stretch out my schedule, but I would go checking these off as they're done, and I would keep notes. And that just keeps me accountable and sets those dates. If you're a person that wants a little bit more detail, then we've got the shift task checklist. And per sort of activity bucket, then you can go in more granularly. You can say what date you want that done by, assign them to yourself, and then you can track them as completed. And these dates will all automatically fill in for you from the plan builder. So this should help give you a framework, make that declaration on dates. Remember, you can change these, so don't be overwhelmed by making that declaration, but it's really helpful for yourself to set that T in the SMART goal. When do I want to do this by? All right, so that should really help you put some structure around your career shift and managing and planning how you're going to run the process. Let's go ahead and jump back to the presentation. Like I've said a few times, you can change your goals. That's not to say to do it willy-nilly, because you want to set them and you want them to be important, but don't fear setting them. What we see is too many times people don't want to set the goal because they're worried they won't hit it. So the main intent of saying this to you is that set the goal, right? And if you miss it, that just means you were trying really hard and you set too aggressive of a goal. That's okay, right? It's better to do that than set goals that are so far away that you hit them or that you forget about them way early and you're not really pushing yourself. Think about the gym. No pain, no gain. If those muscles don't burn, you're not making progress. So push yourself. You want to get this done because this is the kind of process. This is all about you pushing yourself. And if you don't put these goals in place, it could go on forever. And what we don't want is for you to continue in a job that's not fulfilling, not exciting for you. You're not charged up to go, and nobody deserves to have to do that. It can be done that you can be in a job that's exciting and fulfilling and the work energizes you. And that's what we want to help you get to faster and better. So set those goals, but don't let them prevent you from embarking on this process. All right, so with that, we'll wrap up the class. The main thing we want you to take from this class is plan, plan, plan. Build yourself a plan. This process of managing a career shift or looking for a job is entirely up to you. Growing your career is something driven internally by you. Very rarely is about some kind of external forcing function, especially when we're pursuing fulfilling work. And it's not about work that we have to do. It's the work that we want to do. And the good thing about that is that work that we want to do is probably the work we're going to be good at, which is going to be the work that we're going to be better paid for. And then you start the virtuous cycle. So this class is about putting that plan on paper, setting those goals, lining them up, knocking them down, making that progress inch by inch, and getting to that new exciting career that you're excited about. All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up the class. Thanks for watching.